Hello dear students, welcome to my video lecture on romantic poetry. This poetry is also known as the Age of Wordsworth, which is started from 1798 to 1832. So let me tell you the introduction. Romanticism is a revolt against convention and authority. It is a search for freedom in personal, political, and artistic life. Romanticism is regarded as the victory of values of imagination, the originality, wonder, or emotions, self-expression over the classical standards of balance, order, control, quantity, and objectivity. This age started with the publication of lyrical ballads by William Wordsworth and Samuel Taylor Coleridge, which marks the beginning of Romanticism. The Romantic period in English literature is divided into two generations of poets. The first generation of poets are known as older poets. The first generation writers were born in the early part of the 18th century. They include William Wordsworth, S.T. Coleridge, Walter Scott, and Robert Southey. The poets of the second generations are called the younger poets or the revolutionary poets. The second generation writers were born in the last decade of the 18th century. They are Lord Byron, P.B. Shelley, and John Keats. Now, let us see the first generation of Romantic poets. The first generation writers were born in the early part of the 18th century. The poets of the first generations are Wordsworth, Coleridge, William Blake, Southey, and Walter Scott. Now, initially, we shall study about William Wordsworth from 1770 to 1850. William Wordsworth is one of the influential English Romantic poets. He was born on 7th April 1770 at Cockermouth. He was educated at Hawkshead Grammar School in the Lake District at Cambridge. Then he spent his childhood amidst the nature. The influence of his childhood spent in nature is profound and long-lasting. In November 1791, he visited revolutionary France and became enthralled with the democratic movement. He met Samuel Taylor Coleridge at Somerset. Both poets entered a period of intense creativity which produced the lyrical ballads, a collection which inaugurated the Romantic epoch of English poetry. So now let us see the works of William Wordsworth. Wordsworth published many poems and prose works. His famous poems are as follows: An Evening Walk, which is written in 1793. The second poem is Descriptive Sketches, written in 1793. Then the third one and the most important one, Lyrical Ballads, which is written in 1798. So it includes his 19 poems, and the important poems are the Simon Lee, Expostulation and Reply, and the most famous one, Tintern Abbey. Then he published The River at Dawn. It is a series of sonnets written in 1820. Then Ecclesiastical Sonnets, 1822. Then his semi-autobiography called The Prelude in 1850. So this is written in 1805, but it was published after his death. It is in 14 books and it records his development as a poet. It is written in blank verse and it includes some of the finest lyrics. Now, the last poem is The Recluse, published in 1888 posthumously. Wordsworth thought to write a big philosophical epic poem like this. It is The Recluse. The prelude and the exertion were to be its parts. It includes prosaic poetry. Prosaic means unromantic. So, the next poem among the first generation of romantic poets is S.T. Coleridge. Samuel Taylor Coleridge, he was born in 1772. He received his early education at Christ's Hospital. He studied at Cambridge but did not complete the course. He was actually inspired by the French Revolution. His friendship with Wordsworth, which began in the year 1797. Further, they both collaborated a work called Lyrical Ballads in the year 1798. So now let us see the important works of S.T. Coleridge. His important works are: one is Dejection, Youth and Age, Work Without Hope, then the Lyrical Ballads, in which he had written 4 poems, and the most important is The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. Then his 4th important poem is Christabel. He wrote first part of this poem in 1797 and the second part was added in 1800. However, it remained fragment. Fragment means incompleted. It was not published until 1816. It is a tale of a witch. Witch means deva, the ghost. It takes shape of a lovely lady, then she wins confidence of Christabel. The next significant poem is Kubla Khan. It was written in 1798. It is also a fragment. It is a shadow of a dream. He dreamt of Kubla Khan in Zandu. He started writing it when he woke up, but he could not complete it. In 1798, he composed other important poems. Some are Frost at Midnight and Prance at Ode. The next poet is William Blake. He was born in 1757 and died in 1827. He was a highly original and important poet in English literature. He is known as a revolutionary and visionary artist. He completely devoted his life to the art. He was born in London. He is the son of a London hosier. Blake's first collection of poems is Poetical Sketches, which was published privately by the support of friends in the year 1783. Now let us see the works of William Blake. Blake published 2 collections of poems. They are titled as, one is Songs of Innocence and the second one is Songs of Experience. His other poems are The Tiger, London, The Lamb and Poetical Sketches. Poetical Sketches, it is the first collection of poems by William Blake. Now, the last romantic poet of the first generation is Robert Southey. Not the last, second last. Robert Southey, he was born in the year 1774 in England. He became a friend of Wordsworth and Coleridge, and these three poets were referred as together as the Lake School or the Lake Poets. They called so because they all lived in the Lake District for the at least part of their lives. Now let us see the works written by Robert Southey. Southey's first major poem was Joan of Arc. It is an epic poem in 10 books, which he began to writing in 1793 and published in the year 1796. The poem is about an earlier war between Britain and France. He takes the French side and extremely critical of the Britishers. His other works are God's Judgment on a Bishop, Thalaba the Destroyer. It is a poem set in Saudi Arabia. Then he has written Madoc, a poem which is set in Mexico. And the last one is The Curse of Kehma, which is set in India. One of the last major poets of the first generations of Romantic poet is Sir Walter Scott. Walter Scott was born in 1771 at Edinburgh. His family belongs to a well-known Scottish clan whose folk songs, poems and traditions deeply influenced Walter Scott. He was educated at Edinburgh High School and then moved to the University of Edinburgh where he studied law. In 1792, he became an advocate. During his childhood, he was struck by illness and that left his left leg permanently lame. Sir Walter Scott wrote long poems and short poems. The works of Walter Scott. Scott's first major publication was his 3-volume collection of ballads, which he had gathered and edited, that is, The Minstrelsy of the Scottish Border, written in 1802-3. This was followed by his long romantic poems, The Lay of the Last Minstrel, written in 1805. Then he wrote Marmion in 1808 and The Lady of the Lake in 1810. His poems are very famous and long are The Lay of the Last Minstrel and Marmion. These are his most famous and long poems. He also written short poems like Lochinvar, as you studied in the last semester, and Jock of Hazelden, The Maid of Nedput and Proud Maisie. So with this, I am going to conclude the Age of Wordsworth, the first part, that is the first generation of Romantic poets. In my next video, I will be teaching you the second generation of Romantic poets. Thank you.